think you'll agree that that was a beautiful interview. And I believe Dr. Ayaratne is actually in the audience as well, listening. So it's lovely to know that he's participating in this event. And not only is he participating, but his daughter, Charika Marasinghe, who I'm now going to ask to unmute herself and to turn her video on. You must be a very proud daughter. And she's coming to us live from Sri Lanka. And as I mentioned in the interview, Charika is distinguished in her own right. She holds a doctorate in international law from Oxford University. She's a senior consultant in human rights, child protection, and institutional development, and a mindfulness trainer. And she has been and continues to be closely involved with the work of the Sarvodaya Shramadana movement in Sri Lanka. I believe that you participate in it on a voluntary basis. Is that correct?
Yes, I consider myself as a lifetime volunteer.
Wonderful. And you're also a trustee of the Vishva Niketan International Peace and Meditation Center. And
Yes.
and I hand over the floor to you, Charika,
Thank you.
for you
Thank
to
you,
share your
Dominic.
thoughts and your work.
Thank you. It's not easy to follow two illustrious speakers, to be the last speaker of a global event of this nature. Dear brothers and sisters, may I please greet you all in the Sri Lankan style as we are connecting today at this seminar from different time zones. Aibowan, may you live long. First, I would like to thank very sincerely Lucy's Trust in London, especially Dominic, for inviting me to give a talk at this seminar. I have some beautiful memories of visiting Lucy's Trust in London in the 1980s when our dear sister, the late Jan Nation, was director of the Lucy's Trust. It was through Jan I first learned about Alice Bailey and her teachings and writings. It is truly amazing how Lucy's Trust, founded exactly 98 years ago, in 1922, has evolved within a century as a leading spiritual network of people and organizations who truly believe in the power of the one humanity, strongly grounded on spiritual values and principles. I have been asked to speak to you today on the theme Adventures in Social Architecture. I consider this topic as a fascinating one. I would like to let you know that I'll be approaching this theme through the adventures I have had with my association with Vishwaniketan, the spiritual arm of the Sarvodaya Shramadana movement of Sri Lanka. I believe the term social architecture has a deep time meaning, embracing present beings as well as future beings. What we invest today in human lives in the form of social architecture will have a ripple effect in succeeding generations. The social architectural work of Lucy's Trust as well as Sarvodaya amply speaks of these deep time effects. Both organizations have evolved through many generations and across the 20th and 21st century, taking the original philosophical underpinnings to greater heights. Vishwaniketan speaks of just one such piece of social architecture. Dr. Aryaratne referred to 16 such pieces of social architecture at the national level. So Vishwaniketan was founded by him by donating the entirety of the prize monies he received from the Gandhi Peace Prize from India and the Nivanu Peace Prize from Japan. Vishwaniketan's social architectural design brand is called Healing the Mind, Healing Society, and Healing the Environment. Before I walk you through the adventures of social architecture, I would like to examine the meaning of the word architecture. If we take the conventional sense, we define architecture as the science, art, and study of designing buildings. This conventional meaning of architecture is connoted with lifeless physical structures or buildings. However, in the context of social architecture, it would mean the science, art, and study of designing human lives embodied with flesh, blood, and veins. When designing buildings, the architects play with a wide array of contrasting material substances that are rough and soft, elegant and messy, colorful and dull, heavy and light, etc. Similarly, in social architecture, we have to deal with varying levels of mental, emotional, and physical dynamics of the human personality. In social architecture, we have to work with picturesque social landscapes and also landscapes that are filled with toxic, harmful, and destructive elements. In our adventurous journey in social architecture, we had to overcome two challenges. First and foremost, we had to come up with a science or an art of social architecture upon which we could develop vibrant models of social architecture. We were committed to develop models that would effectively respond to the vicissitudes of human life as well as the crises of the plant and the animal world. As an organization strongly grounded on the universal teachings of the Buddha, we turn to the core doctrine of dependent origination or dependent co-arising. It's such a synchronicity to hear Lawrence reciting the verse that I'm going to recite right now. So many similar words and phrases resonated in this discussion before me. In this regard, I would like to quote the words of the Buddha. Open quote, "This being present that comes to be, on this arising that arises, this being absent that does not come to be, on this ceasing that ceases." Close quote. The doctrine of dependent co-arising teaches us the interdependent and interconnected nature of all phenomena. According to this doctrine, no phenomena arises from a single condition. Many causes and conditions have to come together for any phenomena to arise. This doctrine also teaches us that if the conditions do not exist, then the phenomena do not exist. This fundamental teaching of dependent co-arising unravels two alternative pathways we could take. On one hand, this enlightened doctrine is requesting us to abstain from creating unwholesome causes and conditions that contribute to the destruction of all life on earth. The suffering we are experiencing at this hour is because of the unwholesome causes and conditions we have created in the past. The doctrine does not stop at that point. It also shows us a way out of suffering by placing a strong emphasis. I strongly emphasize this phrase on emphasis on the present moment awareness. The present moment awareness gives us the power and control to create wholesome causes and conditions that would bring about wholesome results conducive to the well-being of humans, animals, and the plant world. If we are to find viable social architectural models to change the destiny of our individual and collective life for the better, we should possess a clear and succinct understanding of the causes and conditions that have resulted in the crisis we are facing at this hour. The causes and conditions that we humans have created, generation after generation, across millennia, have given rise to so many crises. These crises have come to us humans in the form of COVID-19, in the form of abject poverty, in the form of climate change and global warming, in the form of skyrocketing debt burden, in the form of powerful authoritarian regimes, in the form of unprecedented unemployment figures, last but not least, in the form of violence against women, children, and the less abled. Therefore, if we are to see, or if we are to change the direction of the path that we have traversed as a human species, we need to understand the deep-rooted causes and conditions that led to this complex situation we are all facing, we are all experiencing at this moment. When we examine and comprehend the causes and conditions that lead to human suffering at all levels, we understand the interdependent and interconnected nature of all phenomena. We also discover that our unending desire not only to accumulate but also to sustain power, position, and wealth, and our relentless efforts to perpetuate the vicious cycle of hatred have deluded us from the true reality of dependent co-arising, the interdependent and interconnected nature of all phenomena. This deadly ignorance has cast destructive and devastating consequences upon us, humans, and also upon the living thread of our human existence, the animal and the plant world. However, I have a serious concern about our ability to reverse the destruction. I mean, to reverse the destruction, our ability to reverse the destruction and harm we have done to all life through unwholesome causes and conditions we have created individually and collectively in the past. Often I ask myself this question: to what extent can we reverse the devastating consequences of the causes and conditions we have laid in the past, even if we create at this particular moment, at this present moment, wholesome causes and conditions in abundance? I sincerely do not know what the answer to this question is. But I know for sure that if we create wholesome causes and conditions in the present moment, we can arrest the perpetuation of causes and conditions of the past haunting our future. In this context, I must emphasize that in our quest to change the destiny of our future, we must at all costs abstain from reflecting on our gloomy past with vengeance, hate, and remorse, and avoid adding toxicity to the purity of the present moment. Instead, we need to embrace the gloomy past with love, compassion, and forgiveness. The second challenge we faced in this social architectural journey was to equip our toolbox with the most advanced and effective tools and techniques to help children and adults from all walks of life to understand the interdependent and interconnected nature of their thoughts, actions, and speech on their own selves and other human beings, the animal and the plant world. Dr. Aryaratna referred to some of these techniques in his discussion. After undergoing innumerable experiential tests, we equipped our toolbox with signature programs that promote mindfulness, investigation, loving kindness, compassion, altruistic joy, equanimity, generosity or sharing, pleasant language, right conduct, equality, to take charge of our thoughts, actions, and speech. In this adventurous journey, we come into contact with the fetus in the mother's womb, hardcore convicts on death row or serving life imprisonment, child and teenage victims of all forms of abuse, sophisticated professionals holding high positions in society, humble community leaders committed to uplifting the quality of life of the villagers, children growing up in normal family settings, faith leaders belonging to different religious traditions, etc. Let us start the adventurous journey from the birthplace of all of us, the mother's womb. The architectural design of the holistic approach to motherhood has blended the Buddha's teachings surrounding conception with cutting-edge scientific discoveries in fetal psychology, neuroscience, and cellular biology. Prospective parents understand that conception is the result of coming together of many causes and conditions, not just the parental union. They understand that their parental role shapes and molds the total personality of their child, the future adult. Through mindful parenting, parents create causes and conditions conducive to the total personality development of their child, who will love and protect humans, animals, and the plants, world alike. One of the most challenging landscapes of social architecture relates to the lives of perpetrators and victims of crime. Through the social architectural design entitled Psycho-Spiritual Healing, we have been successful in transforming the hateful and revengeful state of mind of the convicts of crime, and also the pain, hurt, despair, and anger of the victims of crime. Through various mindfulness and meditative exercises, we have helped them to understand with loving kindness, compassion, and equanimity how the causes and conditions of the past have put them in the present predicament. Through these meditative and reflective practices and exercises, they learned how to take control of their thoughts, actions, and speech, and create wholesome causes and conditions that will help them to reap wholesome results in the future. We started to prepare the foundation for the architecture by exposing the prison officers and probation officers to the importance of spiritual resources for the rehabilitation of convicted prisoners and victims of crime. In the beginning, the officers had a hostile attitude towards the program. They said, like, we have been in this prison system for so long and we are hardwired. No one can change us. However, after attending a week-long meditation retreat, they realized that they really need to change their own attitudes towards the inmates if they are to see concrete results of spiritually grounded rehabilitation programs. One officer translated his experience into words. To quote, open quote, "Prison is an abandoned desert. There is no life. The officials appeared as if they are made of granite and the prisoners made of thorns. The challenge faced by us to convert the granite hearts into hearts that melt and the thorns into bow saplings. We are getting back with the noble intention of converting the desert into an oasis," close quote. In this passage, the officer is referring to bow saplings. It was under the sacred Bodhi tree the Buddha attained enlightenment. Now I would like to share one of the most adventurous stories of our psychospiritual healing programs. In 1999, Vishwaniketan was blessed with an opportunity to introduce for the first time in Sri Lanka psycho-spiritual healing programs to the inmates of the main jail in the capital city of Colombo in Sri Lanka. For the first time in the history of the Sri Lankan prison system, hardcore prisoners convicted of murder, rape, and robbery were brought to our center for a 3-day meditation retreat, and there was absolutely no one within the premises with arms. So they were there for 3 days, of course, not the night. They were taken back to the prison to spend the night, but during the daytime, there was absolutely no guards with weapons. They were brought in the prison vehicle in the morning and taken back to the prison temple ward to continue their meditation practice in the evening. They were kept inside our premises from about 8 o'clock in the morning till about 5 o'clock in the evening. A 65-year-old inmate who had committed murder and had already served a prison sentence had an unbelievable story to share after completing the 3-day meditation. He said his 14-year-old daughter was raped by a person who was known to them. He said he made 3 complaints to the police and police did not initiate an investigation. He said no action was taken by the police, and he said he decided to take the law into his hands and took an axe and murdered the main culprit and stabbed the second culprit, who suffered a permanent spinal paralysis. He said that the man who came to Vishwaniketan, he was referring to himself, had a thirst for blood, an unfulfilled desire to take revenge. He said if he had a gun on that day, he murdered the man. He would have really killed the entire family of the perpetrators. He further said that he was waiting till he completes the prison sentence and returns to his village to finish the unfinished business. The 3-day meditation program did the magic. He realized that his hate, anger, and ill will perpetuate unwholesome causes and conditions, adding more suffering to his inner being, and the need to cultivate loving kindness, compassion, and forgiveness, and let go of the entanglement with the past. The third social architectural design package on mindfulness-based stress reduction is entitled 3S, Searching the Self, Serving Society, Saving the Environment. This social architectural design package has offered immense skills and techniques to children growing up in family settings as well as in institutional settings, professionals, and faith leaders to cope with stresses and tensions in modern day living. Now, I would like to invite you all to watch a short video clip on the 7 adventures in this real-life social architecture developed by Vishwaniketan International Peace Center over a period of nearly 22 years. Thank you very much. Dominic, please run the video now.
Okay, let me just share the screen.
Clap your hands. If you're happy and clap your hands.
Bye.
I think we're going to have to run over because
Yes. Yes.
it'd be a terrible crime not to allow people to
Yes.
ask you questions or make comments. So if anyone would like to put their hands up in the attendees list or well, click on the little button. We're open for you to discuss anything you would like with Charika after that presentation. Or I could just share a few of the comments that are coming through already. There's one here from Heather Stitt who says, Charika, these principles are being unconsciously rolled out within the health and social care system here in the UK for patients with learning disabilities who have been in secure detention and mental health hospitals who would have been left in hospital. There are now rehabilitation programs underway so that these people with the right support can be reintegrated back into society.
Yes.
There is a lot of resistance to this, but it is possible. Thank you for sharing what you have today.
Yes. Yes, I think I too heard that the National Health Services System in the UK has basically, recognized mindfulness, and we met some midwives working at Oxford John Radcliffe Hospital, teaching pregnant women mindfulness-based cognitive therapy. So I think the UK is far ahead of us, although we are doing all this at civil society level. It's yet to be kind of officially recognized by the government and integrate and incorporate into the system. Like in the UK, like I think we heard about 800 schools have incorporated into the timetable 1 hour mindfulness meditation kind of a slot every week. So that's a huge development and huge success. I hope and pray that we will also be blessed with such, state-sponsored kind of interventions, and where we could also sort of put our, whatever the best practices we have developed over the years. Because what we have done in Sri Lanka, we have adapted it to suit our Sri Lankan cultural setting, because and also we cannot ignore the fact, we really need to acknowledge the fact that we live in a predominantly a Buddhist kind of, people with predominantly Buddhist, but we are Sarvodaya and Vishwaniketan. We are all reaching out to people of all religions and races, and therefore, and also we all consider Buddhism is a sort of a way of life, a philosophy. So I personally feel that, we get a lot of requests from non-Buddhists, to come and introduce, we introduced mindfulness meditation to Catholic schools. It was developed as a secular program. At the same time, while acknowledging the original and foundational underpinnings of 4 foundations of mindfulness. So it's quite a challenge to there are so many scientific kind of packages on relating to mindfulness, but when you adapt it to a country that has a lot of reputation as a Theravada Buddhist country, we have to adapt it to, and also as a country where you have a lot of non-Buddhists, we really need to adapt it to suit our cultural and social setting. So that has been our challenge. So in most of our programs, we 100% have lay meditation teachers and lay instructors, so that we can reach out to as many people with from different backgrounds. Yeah, but this government support yet needed, like integrating not just ad hoc programs, but integrating into the mainstream health and social services system is quite needed.
I think what you're saying there is so important that one has to understand the cultural
Yes,
background,
dimensions.
context
Yes,
within
exactly.
which you're working. And that's
Yes,
so one couldn't, for example, say, let's just take this model and transplant it to Germany or
exactly.
Sweden
Yes,
or
yes,
America.
yeah,
One needs to find the ways of speaking, the ways,
yes,
the bridges of
yeah,
understanding between
yeah,
different
yeah,
approaches and
yeah,
different cultures.
yeah,
But it's fantastic that you're doing it and you're providing a model and a seed for
yeah.
this to
And also we are relying very much on scientific findings as well. Like we are getting all the latest publications, and we have contact with John Kabat-Zinn. He helped us at one point to fine tune modules. And so I think when you're reaching out to a non-Buddhist community, the scientific evidence and scientific findings are quite helpful, because there's more. So basically, it's everybody missed the very first slide. Like we are blending ancient wisdom with modern science in order to bridge the gap, right?
and that's something that what we will also try to do. We try to find how to apply spiritual
Yes,
principles to the modern
yes,
world and to find
yes,
ways to talk about them and that are not
yes,
alienating and not
yes,
um, but it's difficult finding language. Finding new language
yes,
is a very
yeah,
difficult process.
yeah.
I think we're going to have to draw. It's a
Okay.
shame, but we have to draw it to close now, Charika, because it's time. We have a closing meditation and a few things I
Yes,
have to say.
yes.
So, but thank you so much
Thank you so much, Dominic and
for.
Chris
I think
and Lawrence and everybody, Steve, everybody for giving us this opportunity to share the little work that we do in Sri Lanka with all of us, all of you. So thank you for the opportunity, and wish you all a very safe and healthy future. And may you all be blessed with good health to continue your service to humanity. Thank you very much.
thank you, Charika.